I had this idea the other day. Figured I would go over it in longer format, kind of explain that people think people have fat loss really misunderstood, especially when it comes to the first month starting. So I'll break down week by week, if you were my client, how I would structure your first 30 days in my system, pretty much, especially if you're new, you haven't really been doing anything. If you've been tracking, some of this stuff is might not fully apply to you, but I hope you guys get some sort of value out of this, and I hope this helps people understand fat loss, that there's got to be a acclimation phase before you actually start cutting weight. But yeah, let's get right into it. Yeah, so the goal of the first 30 days, you're going to want to understand what you're eating. So you're going to want to start to track things, kind of have an idea. Even if you're eating a horrible diet, just track it, see what it is, see where you're at. It's like, I won't change anything within the first 7 to 10 days usually. How much are you moving? You sit at a desk job all day. Let's try and wear an Apple Watch or a Garmin. Your current habits is kind of like your snacking patterns at night, or are you sleeping like shit? Or, I mean, there's a whole list of habits that can go on. So, personally, what habits are we struggling with? Identify them at least. Find the easy wins is more of, I mean, the first 7 to 14, even 21 days, you're not really going to see that much progress. So, how can we win without any feedback loop of, you know, the work we're doing is yielding some sort of result? They're not tracking, did I do better than yesterday? Workouts, numbers in the gym, a lot of different consistency metrics and accountability metrics I like to track, but we'll go into that a little deeper. And then learn how your body responds, obviously. And then learn how your body responds. Obviously, within these full 30 days, you kind of want to see how all the diet changes and everything you're eating, your training, your sleep, everything you're tweaking within your current lifestyle. We want to see how you're responding. People try and force a 2 week transformation in the first 7 days. That's definitely true. I mean, I didn't really word it like this. I didn't make these Mr. Beast presentations, if you could tell, but that more or less means it's like people are. I got them started on Monday, so they write out their whole cut. They write everything out, the A to Z, what they're gonna do, what they're gonna eat, and then they get into 7 days, 10 days, and they fall off, and they wonder why they keep repeating these 3 phases here. Talk about, you need to find out where you're at, establish a baseline, and acclimate to the slow changes, and from there actually plan your cut. So you really can't make any plans, or I wouldn't really make. I want to say goals. Everybody's got a goal in mind when they start, but I wouldn't make any set plans toward your goals until you figure out this full 30-day process. So yeah, week one's mainly gonna be focused about tracking food and steps. So like I said before, Apple Watch, Garmin, whatever you wear. No, they're not all accurate, but we want to just find something steady and something that can track it consistently. It might be 1,000, 2,000 north or south, but as long as we can see a daily step count, then from there we can be like, all right, he's moving a ton, so maybe his metabolism's pretty slow, so we can drop deck the steps. Or some people, their work might not allow them to drop down the step amount, so from there we would look into food sources and how can we increase caloric intake due to the amount of energy expenditure. I know that's getting more into the nitty gritty, but tracking food, tracking steps, everything you eat. I mean, even if it's like a Twinkie in the morning and Chipotle at lunch and a Big Mac for dinner, I don't care. Just track it. Put it all in there. It's not going to look pretty, but get an idea as to what you're doing. You might be eating 10 grams of protein and 700 grams of carbs, 400 grams of fat. I've seen that before, but just track it so we know what you've been doing for a while. Basically, we know what your engine's used to, where your baseline is. I guess that makes sense. Morning body weight, you can track this every single day if you want to, unless you kind of get crazy about it. But if it doesn't affect your mental state, then yeah, track it every day so we can get a weekly average. But if not, once a week's fine, whatever. Training days is just if you haven't been in the gym yet, we would start you out just something real small, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 3 times a week, full body. But if you have been training, just track what you've been doing. Don't do anything more than you've been doing, obviously, in the first week, but just track it and see where you're at. So at the end of that 7 days, you could come back to me and be like, all right, this is what I do day in, day out for the last 6 months, 8 months, whatever. Uh, and then from there, I'll be like, okay, perfect. We can make small tweaks. Maybe you only need half a Twinkie in the morning. But you can't fix what you haven't measured, so we need data to look at first before we make any changes. So a lot of these cookie cutter coaches, they're like, "Yeah, here's a fucking plan for you: chicken and rice 5 times a fucking day, one protein shake and a banana before your workout." It's like you need data to make a plan for somebody. That's why. But you won't find many coaches that do this, where you sign them and they don't just here's a plan. Yeah, they're like, all right, track what you've been doing for 7 days and come back to me. Different approach, but I think it yields sustainability and it yields actual results that a lot of these plans aren't even gonna touch because who the hell wants to eat keto the rest of their life? You might enjoy it, whatever, carnivore, might. I love ribeye, but I don't think I could eat it 5 times a day, every single day for the rest. But to each their own. I'm just saying this is why I like to take this first month approach. But on to week two, yeah, I mean, if you really did track in and dial in the 7 days, then yeah, we can start to set calories and protein. If you have 7 days of data, I like to get 7 to 10 days of data before we start to really make any changes. From there, we would be like, ah, he needs X amount of protein per. I'll stick to this 1 gram target. But yeah, I'll stick to this 1 gram per pound target. So 200-pound male, 200 grams of protein per day ish, give or take. I usually eat. You're a more muscular individual. You train a lot, then yeah, you can go higher, 1.2 grams, 1.3 grams, but just digest, digestive issues come from that. Yeah, so week two is mainly just calories and protein. We want to set, all right, he was eating, I don't know, 10 calories. Yeah, we're going to need a little bit more than that. So I've seen 800-calorie diets. I mean, as a coach, you've seen a lot, but you would be surprised when you actually track what you're eating. If you're not tracking it and you're just day to day, go to Dunkin' Donuts in the morning, that sort of diet, whatever, you'd be surprised. So from there, protein, cool. Get that set, figure out how you can kind of work that in, whether it be a protein shake. We got to restructure your breakfast and be like, all right, he's eating a really high fat breakfast, high carb breakfast, low protein breakfast. Okay, carbs are okay, so let's try and switch the fat and the protein around. Instead of sausage and bacon, let's do lean ground beef or a steak or something to increase protein intake and lower fat intake. That's just a quick example. Kind of see how we can get protein in throughout the day too. Protein shake. So each meal will be specific to what you've been doing, but trying to tweak it so we can get the correct caloric amount and protein target we're trying to hit. Yeah, foods you can repeat. It says right here too. No random starvation diet goes without saying. Um, Something consistent, like consistent meal structures thrown around there a lot too, but like, what does that actually mean? Like something you can stick to. It sounds simple, but this you can't stick to this forever here. So, 2 cheat meals a week is my normal client. Yeah, I would say about 60% of my guys are 2 cheat meals a week. Other guys, I'll give one, they'll take it or leave it. But just having flexibility in there, and if you're actually hitting your targets and you can sustain and you enjoy what you're eating 7 days a week, Some guys are like, yeah, I went out with the family, but I didn't need to go off plan. I had no need, but it was kind of there, so I took it, whatever. Rather than, oh, I can't wait for that pizza on Saturday. That's the wrong plan. But yeah, so that would be week two setup, creating a couple targets and restructuring it slowly. All right, cool. Go another 7 to 10 days, and then we recalculate within that period. Week three, we'll go over more steps and cardio targets. This one's kind of, well, not kind of, this one's very specific or individual. I guess I'll start like, yeah, so if you're not moving a lot and you're doing like 1,000, 2,000 steps a day, that's typical. You get a desk job, go to the grocery store, whatever. Even if you're going to the gym, you might only hit like 3,000. So we would try and add different techniques within your life or within your day-to-day routine to increase steps, 10-minute walks after work, walking in between sets, just tracking it. Now that you're starting to track it and you're conscious of how many steps you've been getting, well, at least incline you to get more, especially if you're in that 3,000 range. There's nothing wrong with that either. Like most people are there. The more steps we can get in throughout the day, the more, obviously, the more calories we're burning, thus the more food we can eat. Or as you get lower and lower in a cut, I'd rather increase my steps every single day, do a couple of walks here and there than lower the amount of food I'm getting. So yeah, it says it here slowly 6,000 steps, then from there 6,000, 8,000 to 10,000. 2 to 4 cardio sessions per week. You could, like in that context as well, you could add a post workout cardio session, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, low intensity, steady state post workout. And then, yeah, it says it here low intensity, steady state. I wouldn't say 30 minutes. I would say 10 to 20. Start with that if you haven't been doing any really cardio sessions. Fasted post workout. Yeah, I think they're pretty much the same. I wouldn't like eat a meal and do cardio and think you're gonna earn as much. I mean, but if you're on the other side and like you're doing a bunch of steps, I mean, you might be 14, 15, 16,000, you get a crazy job at work or whatnot, then we would know, okay, we can, I mean, there's a few tricks you can do to lower the amount of steps you're getting per day, I guess. But if your job's really that, if your job's really that intense, then yeah, obviously we wouldn't do any cardio sessions at all, but we would make sure you're fed around those those hours. And if it's not possible, you're an iron worker and you're up on a high-rise building for 12 hours a day and walking up and down beams and stairs and stuff, then yeah, you can't get too much food in throughout the day. So we would front load you or back load you or go more of a liquid-based diet. Everything's person to person, job specific. I'm just giving an example for each end of the spectrum. So I've had guys come to me, construction workers, they're cranking 17,000, 18,000 steps, thinking they need to do more. No, let's try and do a little less. Cut the fat burners out, especially if you're moving that much. Cut the caffeine out. You'd be surprised if take a bunch of fat burners and you do a bunch of cardio. You'd be surprised how flat and how much fat loss stalls versus if you were to just do a bunch of cardio and kind of eat, keep your metabolism fed steady. Yeah, so that's what week three would look like. And then we would also track these metrics too, week to week. So how much cardio are you doing? How many steps are you getting now? So at the end of those 21 days, going into week four, we can actually see, all right, so we'd be here. This isn't quite an accurate chart, but we'd be around here, hopefully. This usually, yeah, this is usually actually the chart I do see because most people tighten things up subconsciously now that they've consciously, subconscious, whatever, now that they've purchased coaching or they're invested in themselves, they've bought the food, the plan, whatever. So they'll make certain changes. They'll sleep better. The water weight will come off. They're excited about something. And then the results actually start to take place. Once the protein limits and targets are hit, you're actually starting to track and tweak things based on your goals. Okay, I am really fat and I want to lose a bunch of weight. Then that's going to be a different story than somebody that's already has a six pack and wants to lose 10 pounds. But say you would be steady, slow, all right, proteins hit, steps are starting to get tracked. Okay, cool. We make the adjustments to increase the steps. All right, boom. Now we're down here. We're still tracking calories. Everything's good. Proteins are tracked. We did the first acclimation phase, so all our habits and everything are in check. We've got personalized challenge checkpoints that we've been hitting day to day. We've got goals, daily goals based on our habits that we've been hitting, which has allowed us to continue to progress because we're even more conscious of those habits than we were on the start. And now from down here is kind of where everything starts to piece together. So we get to see, okay, we've got all this data behind us. We could go another week before we really make any of these changes. Yeah, I mean it says don't panic over one way, and I would just wait weekly. That way you're not doing this. This chart would for me would look more like a year chart or for somebody. But again, once we're in this phase, this is where things can actually start to be built and looked at because we have all this data, like I said. So you can see, all right, protein's too much, protein's too little, fat's too much, fat's too little. So the macros will get dialed in at this point. You also have an idea of the food sources you're eating, what agrees with you, what doesn't agree with you, because you've been doing this for a month, tracking things, weighing things, relatively same protein sources, unless you fucking weirdo and eats fucking, I don't know, clams or something. I've actually had that. Guy actually wanted fucking, well, he didn't want it. He had a question. He asked how much protein was in mussels. I'm like human muscles? Like no, like mussels from the sea. I'm like, oh, like the fucking like clam. Yeah, that's anyway. It's a little off topic, but yeah. So here we'll know what foods you want. What's gonna go in your plan, pretty much. And at the end of this month, as a coach or as yourself, you have all this data to look back on. You're in the right spot. So it's not fully just an acclimation phase either. It's like you're still making progress because you've added steps, you've added cardio, you're not tracking your workouts as well. So everything's starting to ramp up in your favor in this phase. And from here, not only do we have a little bit of success and we're energetic. We're happy to keep going. Looking forward to more success because we've got that dopamine rush. Now we can actually build a plan. You or your coach can sit down and say, okay, here's meal one, here's meal two, here's meal three, based on my lifestyle, based on how this whole month went, based on, I mean, maybe the weight went the other way. And so the diet and the plan changes would be different. And sometimes you get to the end of this month and you just don't have enough data. Things really didn't go in your favor, whether the client didn't track it all or something happened midweek or whatever. It might go another week. So it might be 5 weeks before you actually start to make the plan. But once you put all the pieces together at the end of this week and make your plan, boom, you're rolling. And from there, you got a personalized plan that compounds upon itself because you can kind of keep running through this phase again and again and again. So if we go back and start back at week one, like, all right, after the 4 weeks, you've got your plan, everything's set in. You've already run through all this, but now we're going to track our food and track our steps and still continue to add upon what we've been doing. So if it's 10,000 steps, all right, I've been good with that. All right, let's bump it up a little bit. And you can kind of keep doing this every single month with that original plan that you built after the first acclimation, if that makes sense. See here, it's like, again, you get to this week, all right, I just tracked my food and focused on my steps for a whole week. I got all that data. Now, on top of that, let's continue to tweak this and track this. Let's not to say change it all every single week, but let's try and leverage a little more protein and a little less fat, or a little more carbs and a little less fat, or vice versa. And kind of tweak it there, track all that data, run it from a week. You'll have all your steps, all your workouts, all your weight. Here, again, you get the steps, the cardio, how many sessions am I doing per week? Is it working? Maybe I'm losing weight like crazy. I only need 2 cardio sessions per week instead of 4 to 5. Or maybe instead of 4 cardio sessions at 20 minutes, I'll do 2 at 30 minutes. So, and then again, track this for another week on top of all your others. And then you get to week 4, and then boom, this is kind of I don't want to call it the do nothing phase, but the phase where you kind of just relax, chill, focus on these last 3 weeks and kind of track and kind of track things. And it is kind of like the do nothing phase where you just focus on the last 3 weeks. You think about the plan ahead. Don't psych yourself out. Get another 5, 6, 7 days of data. Then really set it. Okay, here's my goals. Here's all the data I got on the table in front of me. Here's where we're going. I hope that makes sense for a lot of you. This is a little weird little AI presentation thing, but yeah, that's pretty much recapped this. I'll try and timestamp these as well, but I kind of scrolled all up and down, left and right. So yeah, that's not my philosophy, but my method and how I go about setting up the first 30 days when somebody comes to me and says I want to lose weight, especially building muscle is a whole different story. If you got a goal to build muscle, you've already more or less you've already been in a weight loss context before, or you're just a hard gainer. It's just a different story with food and everything. Um, so yeah, in a weight loss context, this would be the first month or first perfect 30 days to set up for yourself in order to make an actual plan. Just find one on the internet and say, I'm gonna try that on day one. When when your habits, your steps, nothing's tracked. You have no idea where you're at, so you're just gonna pick somebody like pick this one, this AI plan. See what this is. 1,800 calories, perfect. That'll make you starve. It's like a female diet right here, perfect. A little Greek yogurt, like no, that would not work for everybody. That might work for my mom. Yeah, my mom would probably work with that one. I hope you guys get what I'm saying. I hope this helped resonated with somebody. Maybe somebody's like, that's probably what I was thinking about. It's like, yeah, I've been there too. I'm not talking from a place of I've never done that before, you idiots. It's like the only reason I was able to put this together and talk about it is because I've done this multiple times. Pick a keto, pick a carnivore diet, I don't know, pick whatever you want, and then you wonder why you can't stick to it after a month, 2 months. You really need to layer things in, track them, become habit. Like you can even see how it's structured here. It's only 2 things per week. Like track your food, track your steps. It's like screw everything else. All right, cool. Get all that data. Track your calories, track your protein. Obviously, on top of it now, tracking food and steps is easy. But yeah, screw everything else, right? Focus on calories and protein. Boom. Now we're gonna focus on steps and cardio. Okay, great. The workouts are in, everything's fine, cool. Steps and cardio, target, track it, nothing else, focus, right? And then this week, like I said, not a do nothing phase, but a continue to do the last 3 weeks phase. And I don't know, it's good to give yourself a week to just go over everything, really have a few solid days of thinking as to what you want out of life, out of fitness. How far do you want to push it? How miserable a process do you want to make it? All those thoughts we have. And then you'll run that through your logic system and probably come to a pretty good diet. But yeah, try those 3 weeks out and let me know how different of a diet it is that you've put together for yourself now, if you've ever put one together. Yeah, DME system on Instagram. I can send you the framework, the whole framework that I use for my entire system. My system's 3 to 6 months, so after that first month, we would dial in your diet, and then boom, those 2 to 3 months after that is where progress really starts to show. That's why 90 days is it's not a lot of time, but you can make a lot of progress in 90 days if you do it right. People just they want progress in that first month, or else it's all over, and you burn yourself out 5 weeks, 6 weeks in. You're like, yeah, I'm good. I think I like the bagels. I like the cinnamon toast crunch. So, yeah, again, hopefully this helps somebody. And I know not too many people watch this, so if you're watching this, you're you're a real one. Appreciate you. Uh, Hope you get some value out of this. DM me on Instagram. DM me system. I can send you the framework, like I said, or just DM me. We can go over the phases, see how this might apply to you or how it could apply to you. I'd be happy to help and go over anything. So I know it's kind of all over the place and probably unedited as shit. It's pretty fucking late, so but I wanted to get this out. It was on my mind, and yeah, that's my approach to the first 30 days if somebody comes to me and kind of how I would structure everything. So again, hope it helps. Reach out, DM me system on Instagram, and get you the next one. Peace.